Okay, I'm just going to go over briefly the TOS platform because I think it's really important that you just kind of familiarize yourself with the platform so that you're not, you're not confused about where to go if you need information. So let's go over the platform just very, very quickly. I'm using the paper money version of the platform so that my current positions don't get in the way of the tabs and so forth, and it doesn't throw off what you're trying to look at here. You can do paper trading through the TOS platform. When you sign on to the TOS platform, you can choose either the paper money or you can choose the regular platform. They also have now an InvestTools paper money option. But I'm going to use the paper money, which is this is not a real account. This is a paper trading account that you can use to get started. And I think it's a really good idea for you to use a paper trading account at least for 1 or 2 months just to get used to the order entry. And that's exactly what I did when I first started using the TOS platform. I used it for a couple of months just using fake money here, and you can put whatever money you want into the account. But it gives you an idea of how to create orders that get filled in the market, how to enter your orders, how to cancel your orders, and it also helps you get used to all the tabs that are here. Now, when you open up the platform for the first time, you're going to see the Monitor tab. The Monitor tab allows you to take a look at all of your current positions. This is your position statement. Since this is a paper trading account, I don't use it anymore. There's no positions in here. But if you did have positions, I have this set up under Delta so that I have all my Greeks here. I have my Delta, Gamma, Theta, and Vega. My profit and loss open for the entire position for the day, profit and loss, and the buying effect on the position itself. So what you want to really start out with, the very first time that you open this, you want to go to your Setup tab. And you want to be able to, if you want to display all your accounts, you can display all your accounts. If you just want to display one of your accounts, you can do that. Your default account, whichever one you want to. I've got 2 paper trading accounts in here. One is called IRA, one is margin. The main position layout, which was what I just showed you, the Delta, Gamma, Theta, Vega, the Greeks across the top, or you can go with net share, stock price, net change, etc. But I like to watch the Greeks, of course. Usually the profit and loss layout is by open and day, but you can go open year to date, day year to date, open day, percent open, percent day, percent yield to date, year to date. Most of these others I really don't pay too much attention to. The default stock quantity order, you might want to change that to whatever you feel comfortable with 100 shares or 500 shares. So when you go to place an order in your account, that's the default stock order quantity that's going to be pulled up as soon as you enter an order. The stock order increments, so like if you started out at 1,000 shares and you wanted to go up to you wanted to try to toggle between different numbers of shares that you want to buy. You can either set that at 100 or 500. So if you set that at 500, your initial stock quantity amount would come up as 1,000. If you toggled up 1 tick from that in your order entry system, it would go to 1,500 shares if you had this set at 500. If you have this set at 100, then you would toggle up to 1,100 shares as your default increment. For future orders, we don't really use futures. Your option order, this is very critical. Your option order quantity increment, okay, and your default option order quantity. You want to start out. I always start out. If I was just getting started, I would start out with maybe 2 contracts, and option order quantity increment is 1. You could start out with 1 and 1, so that if you brought up a stock order or an option order, you'd have 1 contract on all of your order entries. And if you toggled that up, then it would have a order quantity increment of 1 contract. So you'd start out with 1. If you toggled it up, it would go to 2 contracts. If you toggled it up, it would go to 3 contracts. And that's the way I suggest you start out. Show the expected price. You want single orders only. Show order confirmation, yes. Clear after order send, yes. You want quote speed. Normally you want either real time, no delay, or fast max delay 1 second. I like real time, no delays. And that's pretty much it. You can click OK on that, and then what I'll do is I'll show you. We'll go into our trade tab, which is the very next tab. If you, like I said, in the monitor tab up here, if you had positions, they would all show underneath here. If you go to your trade tab, and let's say we put in the spies, and we'll bring down, see all of these little arrows, if they point to this, if you click on those, it brings up other options for you. And then you can click away, you can click on any blank part of the screen. You can hide this underlying, or you can take a look at the current quote price. I like to keep that open. If you open this, it's pointing to the price, it opens up additional information that you can look at. You can open up a trade grid, which gives you the current bid and ask from most of the major option exchanges. I don't usually keep that open. And I just want to close that. Oh, it's up here. There we go. And then the option tab, this will bring up all of the current available options for this underlying symbol. And let's say we wanted to do something in May here, so we bring up the strike prices for May, and you notice that I have quite a few open. I do like to keep a lot of them open. The way to change that is right up in here. It says 50. It says strike quantity 50. You can limit that to as many as you want. If you only want to have 5 strike prices open, you can do that. If you want to have 10 strike prices open, you can do that. It opens up a little bit further. I like to keep open at least on the indexes. I like to keep open as many as possible because I tend to do a lot of out of the money stuff. In the option tab itself, and you take a look at all of these strike prices, all of the bluish gray areas here, which would be from like 138 down, these are on the call side. These are all calls. And anything in the black area, all the way up to your highest strike that you have open, are out of the money. So the grayish blue ones are in the money. The black ones are out of the money. On the put side, which is over here on the right side, all of the grayish bluish ones are in the money, and all of the black ones are out of the money. So you can see pretty much where the at the money options are, because they're highlighted right where this line is here. So it's about 138, and the current price is 138.48 for the SPY. So if you were doing something like you were doing something that was out of the money, then you're going to be taking a look at, on the call side, you're beginning to look at any of these, calls over here. If you're looking to do something on the put side and you want to do something out of the money, then you want to take a look at the options on this side. For example, let's say we wanted to set up a iron condor. We're going to sell an iron condor. All we have to do is take a look at the strike that we'd like to sell at to initiate our iron condor on the call side. Right click on that, and that will bring up our order dialog box. And what we want to do is we want to sell an iron condor, and that'll bring up the order entry box. And it already has it filled in with the calls that we just had, because that's where we put our cursor. And we had it set up at 142, buying the 143. And if you remember, an iron condor is an out of the money call, sale of a call vertical spread, and an out of the money put, a sale of a put vertical spread on the same underlying index. So it automatically brings up our call side, but the put side is generally not where we want it to be because it tends to be around the same strike as our call side. So what we want to do is we want to bring that down a little bit, maybe to the 133s. So all we had to do is just click on where it says put. If you have a little arrow, these little yellow arrows down here, you can click on those, and that'll bring up a box with all of the strike prices that are available for that underline. So we just clicked on the 133, and then we want to buy, because we're selling an iron condor, we want to buy something below that strike. So we're going to buy the 131. And the call, we're selling the 142, and I like to keep them a couple points apart, so I'm buying the 144. And that's pretty much how you simply select. Now, we have the iron condor sold here. We can see that we're going to get a credit of 95 cents at the midpoint. You know, depending on, now right now, this is over the weekend, so the bid and ask prices are a little bit wider than they normally would during market hours. And you could probably, and during market hours, this might be like 93 cents and 95 cents instead of 83 cents. So what we want to do is, we've got this set up. We can see that we'll receive a 95-cent credit for one contract. Now remember, when I showed you the setup tab, is that it automatically defaulted to create a single contract on on this entire iron condor that we're selling. Now if we want to increase that, if we're selling, we want to click this little blue down arrow, and that will increase the quantity of our iron condor by one contract. If we continue to click it, it will increase by one more contract. One more contract, one more contract. If we want to reduce the number of contracts that we selected, all we have to do is click on this up arrow here until we get the number of contracts that we want. Just to show you, I will delete this out. Let's go back to our setup. Let's say instead of going with 1 as our default order quantity, we wanted to set it at 3. We can hit 3 here and keep the option order quantity increment at 1. Click OK. Go back and we'll sell our iron condor again. And you can see that now we have 3 contracts have come up as our default order quantity. And then if you want to decrease it or increase it, you can just click the blue links, and it'll go up by one contract, because that is our order increment quantity. Okay, so let's set this back up again, and I will show you how. This is how I normally begin the trade, is by selecting the strike prices that I like to work with, either on a double calendar or with a iron condor. And I'm going to go into, let's see, I think I picked the 133 and the 131. There we go, for a 95-cent credit. Now, you can go to this little blue dot here, and when it's highlighted yellow, just right-click on that and go to Analyze Duplicate Trade. But you can also just about click anywhere in this. I have trouble sometimes exactly getting on that little blue dot. So you can go anywhere inside of the blank area here and do the same thing. Right-click, then left-click on Analyze Duplicate Trade, and that will bring up your Analyze tab. The Trade tab and the Analyze tab are the two most important tabs, or the tabs that I actually use more often than any other tab. I'll show you some of the other tabs here. Of course, your account is very important to keep an eye on your current positions, but also your monitor tab, so that you can monitor the Greeks of your trade and your portfolio. But when you're setting up trades and you're going through, you're kind of trying to get an idea of your positions, The trade and the analyze tab are probably the two most important and the ones I use most frequently. Now, when you're analyzing a trade for the very first time, what it'll do is we went to the trade tab, we right-clicked, we came over to the analyze tab automatically, and it brings up this risk profile graph. And the risk profile graph gives you an idea, as it's open, of the probability of the profit and loss at the current time, so based on its current price. It doesn't really give us that much information. What I like to do is find out what this is going to look like at expiration and what it looks like right now in comparison to expiration. So I will immediately go to plot lines. I'll bring this down to expiration, and I will go expiration +1, which means that it will take a look at what happens to this graph, what happens to my position the day just immediately following expiration. And as soon as I click on that, this little graph will come up. And what this does really is show you the current price. It's kind of hard to see, but when you first pull this up, this little gray bar right here in the center is your current position, and it gives you the price down here, 138.48. You can move your cursor back and forth, and down here it'll show you what your current profit position is based on date. Today is 4/19/08, and the profit potential of the position, which is your green line, at the expiration date, which is May 17th, 2008. So if we wanted to, all we have to do is run our cursor along these lines, these strike prices. Our strike prices are down here. Our current, actually the prices of the underlying are underneath on the horizontal axis, and our profit and loss is here on the vertical axis. So you can see that as long as the price stays within 132, maybe 10 cents, all the way up to around 143, then we will have a somewhat profitable position. Our most profitable position will be if the underlying remains within around 142 to about 143. Now, you can also see that corresponds, the 133 on the low end, which is our maximum position before our profit starts to decrease, is the position of our short put position at the 133 strike. Also, the 142 strike, which is our maximum position, profit position to the upside, corresponds to the short position that we have at the 142 strike price on the call side. Okay, so there's some logic to this. Now, what will happen is our current profit and loss is this white line here. Now, like I said, the 95 cents was the midpoint price. Generally, you're not going to get that. You're probably going to get something close to that, but maybe a few cents off. Maybe you get 92 cents or maybe even 91 cents. So it does change the profit and loss a little bit. You can see this white line here is our current profit and loss, and you can see that as soon as we open up this position, if we were opened up to this position right now at 91 cents, we would be in a position of losing $5.81 immediately. And why does that happen? Well, it happens because of the spread. Let's go back to our trade tab here for a second. Our spread between the bid and the ask price. The bid and the ask has a spread on it. It could be a penny, it could be 2 pennies, it could be 3 pennies, it could be 4 pennies, it could even be 5 pennies per contract. And what you do is you're selling at the bid, and you're buying at the ask. So as soon as you buy something for $1.32, if you had to go back into the market and sell it immediately, you would only get $1.26 for it. So that is the reason why you have an immediate loss as soon as you put this position on, because nobody gives you anything in the markets. You're not going to make a penny. In fact, you're losing a penny every time you put on a position. The only way that you're going to be making money is through the analysis of your positions and the way you manage them in the future. Here's how you make your money, though. The way you make your money is by this white line over a period of time will begin to rise until it meets the green line at the expiration date, which is on May 17th. So we can take a look at this a different way. If we go back up to our plot lines here for a second, let's just make sure our probability date over here on the right side is accurate. It should be set to the day of expiration, which is May 16th. Okay. Now we're going to go to plot lines, and we're just going to go to day step here. Let's take a look at this. See, what happens is eventually this white line will come up and meet. Let's just do it this way. I'm just going to go up day by day. You can see our current date is the 19th. The green line is 425. So within 1 week, we should have our white line will move from this point of, actually because the price is over here, a loss of $5.81 up to a profit of $5.13. If we keep going, moving up our date line, remember our expiration, the expiration of these contracts is May 16th. And generally, we'd like to close these out about a week before expiration. So probably close to May 9th, we're going to be taking a look at closing out this position. But if the prices remain relatively stable, then we can continue to increase the date. Now we're at April 30th. April 30th, we're in a position where we have a profit of $17. If we continue, now May 4th, you can see that the profit continues to rise as we get closer to expiration dates. Now let's say we start closing out our position on May 9th. If we hold our position from April 19th to May 9th, which is only a couple weeks away, you can see that this white line has increased dramatically to the point where we are making a profit. And that is exactly the goal of what we want to see happen. We want to see this white line continue to rise and rise and rise, and that means that we will have a profit here of $50 for each contract that we put on. So we put on one contract, we're going to get a profit of $50. Now, how much did that one contract actually cost us on this iron condor? It only reduced our buying, because we received a credit, it only reduced our buying effect of $109. Now, if we were to close out this position and the price, remained relatively stable and it didn't move, let's just assume that just for a second, although that rarely happens, but it does happen once in a while, and we close this position out on May 9th, which is about a week before expiration, for a $50 profit. What kind of a return on investment is that? Well, we only really had to put up a margin money of $109 and we got $50 in return. That's almost 50% profit. And how long did we have to hold this trade? Well, we put it on April 19th and we closed it on May 9th. That's about 3 weeks. 50% profit in 3 weeks. Let's just take a look and see what happens if we increase the number of contracts. Instead of one contract, we do 2. Well, now it only costs us and our margin is only $218, but now we have a profit of $100. We're still at 50% profit in 3 weeks. Well, let's take a look at 3 contracts. 3 contracts, we only put up $327, and we have $150 in profit. So we're still very close to 50% profit in 3 weeks. Now, when you start to get into really significant amounts of profit, and you're really good at what you're doing, now we're putting up $2,000, and in 3 weeks we have a profit of $1,000. And we start to play in the big time, and you're really a player, and you're doing 50 contracts at a time. You're putting up $5,000 in margin money, and you're making $2,500 in just 3 weeks. Okay? And this is on one position. So the profits can certainly be significant. This is the way that you would use this this Analyze tab, just to determine exactly what your profit position is going to be over time. If we took this all the way to expiration, as you can see, I day stepped it. This is actually May 17th, which is the day after expiration. You're going to see this is almost exactly like our profit and loss figure that we looked at when we initially opened up the position. And our maximum profit on this position is $4,544 if we did this many contracts. Of course, when you're starting out, I do not recommend that at all. Okay, but you can see that the graph remains exactly the same no matter how many contracts that you do. The only difference is exactly what your total profit is going to be at the expiration. And like I said, I don't recommend you hold it till expiration. Because lots of things can happen. If you've got 80, even if you have 50% of your profit, if you have 50% to 70% of your profit, close it out. Our normal target is about 30% of target profit, position. After you've got a position on for a couple of weeks and you're making 30% profit, boy, that's an excellent return on your investment. I mean, you just don't see that. So that is how you use this Analyze tab. We're going to go back to the expiration +1, and you can see now this is how I monitor these positions on a daily basis. I just go to the expiration +1, make sure my probability date is the same, and then just keep an eye on this white line. And as long as the price remains between your two break-even points, you're going to continue to receive the decay of the theta. And if you review your CDN Greeks, you'll notice that we do have on our live price, we have a positive theta of $1.55 a day. That's per day per contract. If we were to do 2 contracts, then we're up to $3.10 per day, and that's how much we should expect to receive in return for the risk that we're taking by holding these contracts, by writing these contracts on our short positions, above and beyond the theta decay of our long positions, so that we have a positive expected return of $3.10 for 2 contracts, or $1.55 in theta decay per day for 1 contract. Okay, those are the 2. So the trade tab, any position that you pull up here, let's say you were just buying a calendar here, you could also pull that up and get rid of that one. And basically you're going to see the same thing. You're going to come down here to expiration +1. You want to see what the maximum profit potential is going to be. You want to take a look at the theta decay, and you want to take a look at your break-evens. Those are the things that I look at. And you can monitor that on a daily basis. So eventually, at some point, like I said, you're going to see, eventually you're going to see the white line go up to, on May 2nd, you'll have a profit of $81. By May 15th, you'll have a profit of $260. So, you can take a look at this in many different ways. It's a very, very useful piece of software that they've built into this platform. It's really, really excellent. There's some other tabs down here that you can use. If you don't want to go directly from the order entry tab, you can go straight to the Analyze tab. You can go to Add Simulated Trades over here. Here's your risk profile. You can go to Add Simulated Trades. You can do whatever analysis that you need, directly within the Analyze tab. And you pull those up, go over to your risk profile, and you'll see everything there. So you can either go from the Trade tab, or you can go to the Analyze tab and then add simulated trades of your own. Click on the risk profile. You can also take a look at the probability analysis. I don't really look at this too much, but it does kind of give you an idea of where prices may tend to trade at any future date. And you can kind of play around with that. You can also take a look at volatility analysis and see if there's any positive or negative skews on the strike prices for each one of the months on the underlying. But normally this is the way I like to trade. I like to take a look at the expiration date profit and loss graph, our current graph, and where the price fits into my calendar or double calendar. And let's see what else we got. Well, we have our quote tab, and you can put as many different symbols as you want in here, and they all use your, you have your own. You can have an unlimited number of stocks that you can track, futures, indexes, the VIX, advanced decline numbers, just about anything that you want in there. The Think Back system. It's kind of an interesting little thing. I don't really use it, but it allows you to put a symbol in and then perform an analysis of how a system would have turned out based on back testing. So you can kind of play with that if you like. I really don't use it too much. The spread book is kind of interesting because it lets you kind of spy on what other people have put in as orders and just kind of see what they're doing, whether they're doing verticals or they're doing straddles or strangles. I really don't pay attention to that too much either because I have my own strategy. This little CNBC symbol here will bring up current programs from CNBC. So, for example, if you were interested in the Fast Money show, you could bring that up, and all you have to do is hit click, and you can play that show. Now, these are pre-recorded. Those are all pre-recorded. Those are all recorded shows. You can also bring up. Live video from CNBC Live TV, which is pretty cool, especially if you're traveling and you enjoy watching CNBC and some of their news stories. I don't use the news stories on CNBC to trade off of. I just don't think that that's a good idea. You should be relatively independent of the news when making trading decisions, because the news tends to change so much that you could easily get whipsawed, buying this or buying that or something like that. When I talk about portfolio building in the CD on portfolio building, I show you exactly how I make my trading decisions, which stocks I'm either going to be in for the wealth building series, or the kind of indexes I want to be in for our monthly income trades. But this is pretty neat, because you can go in here and if you're traveling or something like that, or you're sitting at your PC and you don't have a TV nearby, and it's entertainment. It's not bad. It's kind of fun. You can watch CNBC live TV during market trading hours, and listen to the news and see what their opinion is on the current state of the economy and so forth. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun to watch. And especially when I travel, some of the hotels in some of the areas that I've been in, they don't have CNBC on their on cable, and so I'm able to watch it even when I don't get it on cable. So that's pretty cool. Okay. The last thing I want to show you, actually there's two more things I want to show you. One is is how to set up your own little list here. All you have to do is click on any one of these little these wheels here, and you can create a new watch list, and let's call this the IBD movers list. And if, let's say, for example, if I wanted to put in stocks from Investors Business Daily from the IBD 100, and let's say the number one stock right now is BUCY, well, I can put that in there and just keep a list of the number one, number two, number three stock in the IBD 100, so that I can keep an eye on what they're doing here. These are the top three right now. Whoops. There. Oh, I can't find what is the symbol? Oh. TITN. There we go. Okay. So, we can take a look at these, and so you can have your own watch list here set up any way that you want. And if you want to get a graph of it, all you have to do is right click on that, go to TOS charts, or you can go to profit, and it will just bring it right up for you. And you can keep an eye on it, and you're all set. That is a very nice thing. But you can also let's see, if you wanted to bring up, you can bring up your own personal lists. You can bring up some public lists. You can bring up all of the Dow 30 if you want. You could also bring up top 10 lists of the top 10% gainers on the NASDAQ. You can go to specific industries. So let's say retail trade is, or you think finance and insurance and real estate is starting to hit a bottom, and you wanted to go in and take a look at some of the real estate, or you want to go into some of the insurance carriers, or you want to go into the non-depository credit institutions, or anything else that you want. All you have to do is just select the industry that you want to go into, and you can drill down, all the way down to any list that you want. So you can bring up any industry that you want. You can create your own news list. You can create a new scan query, so that you can bring up this query box, which is the same thing under the Stock Hacker box. And let's say you wanted to take a look at a stock that's over $10, but you want to make sure that the volume is at least 1 million shares. And let's say you wanted to have a stock that really is going to move, so you want a beta of 2 or better. Remember, a beta of 1 is going to be a stock that actually matches the movement of the market. If you select a stock that has a beta of 1 or better, or 2 in this case, then it moves twice as fast as the market. And you can save that. And we can name this, and we'll call it movers. And there you go. And it'll bring up all of the stocks that have a beta of 2 or better, trading 1 million shares or more, and or are over $10. So you can do lots of different. You can have watch lists here, but like I said, in the portfolio building CD, I show you exactly how I pick my stocks to trade for wealth building and the indexes that I use for the monthly income series. So that's the TOS platform. I would suggest that you really get used to it because it's awesome. The one last thing I wanted to show you was the question mark thing over here, this little symbol, and it gives you all the contact information for TOS if you have any questions. They have the website links here for different things. They also have a number of narrated walkthroughs in Windows, QuickTime, and Flash formats, and they go through in detail all of the tabs and the charts and the quotes. It's absolutely awesome. I mean, the things that you can do with this platform were unheard of just a few years ago, and certainly a absolutely incredible benefit to traders today because a few years ago you just could not get this information, and it should help you significantly in becoming an extremely profitable trader. This is really a new era for traders and investors, at least retail traders and investors. I mean, many of the market makers have had this information for a very long time, but now traders and investors are also able to access this information, and that was really not available to a retail trader unless you had really sophisticated platforms out there that were costing you hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars a month in fees to access. But now it's accessible through the TOS platform, so that's why I love TOS. Anyway, that's the using TOS information that I've got for you today, and you guys, if you have any questions, go to this question tab here, little question mark tab, and take a look at all of the videos that they have. Utilize those these walkthroughs and really get used to using this platform. And the way I suggest that you do that, especially with the trading platform and the analyzing platform, and the profit charts. I mean, those three tabs are the ones that I use all the time because I select trades, I analyze them, I determine my support and resistance points, especially for the monthly trades, and that's how I use this platform to make money on a monthly basis. All right, guys, trade with confidence.